right, so this is a topic that is going to piss some people off. And I'm going to say this very clearly because I've been on both ends. And never did I feel like I had the right to judge anyone who was requesting assistance. So when people tell me that I don't know where you're coming from, trust me, I do. And I don't believe that you have the right for your commentary, but I understand that you have a right to your opinion, because we all have an opinion, and they're like assholes. Not all of them are clean, and some of them really stink. So just keep that in mind. And some of them are very sick and have diarrhea. So just keep that in mind. Anyways, so when I renewed my SNAP benefits, they were cut because I'm no longer paying $500 in rent for a room where I was being harassed and mistreated. And the people running these independent living situations told me that they have no way of monitoring those households. So that's not a responsibility on me. That's a responsibility on the system that created those spaces where disabled people are unsafe. Okay, that's on you. That's not on me. So me living in my car is a choice, yes, but it's an obligated choice, a forced choice, not because I wasn't willing to pay rent, but because you are unwilling to monitor the households where we're paying rent in. And yeah, granted, we're getting lower rent because we're disabled, but that doesn't give you the right to mistreat us or harass us, period, point blank. That's it, period. So if us living in our vehicle grants SNAP the right to lower our SNAP benefits because we are not paying rent, then thus our car payments and insurance payments for those vehicles should be considered our rent. Whether you want to acknowledge it or not, we are still paying into these systems that you say that we're not a part of. But by having a car payment and by having an insurance payment, because I am a responsible driver and I take my driving responsibility very seriously, I should be able to put my car payments and my insurance payments on said application as my rent, since I live in my car. And you're saying that because I live in my car, I don't qualify for other benefits as a homeless person, but I also don't qualify for other benefits as a housed person. So thus, if you're going to take my benefits because I chose to live in my car to save some money so I could pay for the medical shit that y'all refuse to pay for, not because I don't need it, but because you somehow decided that until I was housed, I didn't deserve medical treatment. So thus, I am still paying for my medical treatment. So you're trying to punish me for paying for my own medical treatment so that I'll accept subpar housing where I will be harassed and mistreated. All to try to force us to comply with a system that is harming us and killing us. And you feel like you have the right to take away $100 of food assistance because I'm paying for my own medical shit? Because I'm choosing to live in my car and pay for my own medical costs that you refuse to pay for because you keep saying that DME won't replace my equipment if I'm still living in my car. I can't have my migraine medications because it puts me unsafe in my car. I get it. You guys already prescribed them, and that you already did that part for the emergency medications. However, you didn't take into accountability that puts me in danger, that those medications knock me out for days. There's no way around it until you guys realize that housing first for everybody is a good thing, but mostly for disabled people to get the care they need so that they are well enough to return and remain in employment. What is the point of them going back to employment if they're going to be fired within weeks because of their health? Because you're not getting them their health. And then employers give them a hard time because they don't want to accommodate their disabilities. And don't tell me that's not a thing, because it's happened to me more than once. It's why I won't go into these programs in the same way and the same confidence anymore. Because you're using the same fucking tactics, expecting a different result. That's actual insanity, whether you want to recognize it or not. So if SNAP and the government want to charge us, and I get why you're doing this. I get it, because a lot of people are getting LLCs and they're putting their cars and their homes and everything under those LLCs so that they can qualify for SNAP benefits. But not all of us are doing that. And a lot of us are getting punished for doing the things that we are doing the legal way, the right way, We're being punished for them. So just keep that in mind, because you have that on your applications now, that they ask you for all that LLC information and all that stuff. They have that on the applications now. So it tells me that that is the main reason why they're cutting people's SNAP benefits, because of people who took advantage of those benefits to be able to get out of poverty. And I get it, because asking for help, whether you're asking for disability assistance, SNAP assistance, housing assistance, it's a poverty trap. It will keep you poor for the rest of your life, but so will illness. So at least for disabled people, we have no choice. I get that well-bodied, able people do have a choice, and when they're tired enough, they can go back to doing those things. But you know what happens to disabled people when they're tired enough? They do drugs. They commit suicide. They go back to prostitution. They do fucking porn. They sell their bodies and their soul to be able to survive in a system that keeps taking and taking from them. So no, if you're gonna punish the people with LLC by putting that shit on the application and punishing all of us, then those of us who are homeless and live in our car because of our disabilities should have the right to put our car payment and insurance payment and our storage facility payments as our rent. Because we are paying rent, almost as much rent as if we lived in a house. And the cost of living in a car isn't any low when the cost of gas is where it's at right now. It's not any lower than living in an apartment. The only difference is that these apartments won't even let us go into the apartment if we don't have 2 to 3 times the wages. We don't have them. But we need to get into the apartment to be able to apply for the assistance that will pay for those apartments. It's a fucked up system rigged for you to lose no matter what. So don't even come at me with your bullshit saying that we aren't trying hard enough. We are trying hard enough. But you rigged the system so that we would be unsuccessful and have to go back either to the state system in a hospitalized way or independent living way, which you don't monitor, and your nurses, caregivers, and shit are shit. A lot of them are abusive. So no. That's the choices you give us as disabled people. Or for those of us who left abusive family members, the other choice is to return to our abusive family members without them being required to go to therapy and get help so that they don't abuse us again. So just keep that in mind when you're trying to do all these family reconciliations after you separated families, because you are separating families by not wanting to have them living with their families and taking away assistance if they live with their families and blah, 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 because you're creating this pressure on the system. You're creating the pressure. You're also creating these people who are creating the LLCs. You're making them have to go around all these different ways, back doors, to get around what you created, so that they can get assistance, because otherwise they can't survive. Otherwise they're impoverished. And otherwise they're so burnt out that even they know that if they lose control, they will hurt their disabled family members. Or if they are not there to give them the care that they need, they will get hurt because the state system is shit. It's shit. It's bullshit. It's a piece of shit. Pay families to take care of their disabled family members. That's how you keep them safe. Because nobody is going to love that family member more than a family member. But if you turn family members against that family member with these systems to try to get them to get help because they were turned away from family, what you do is you leave them on the street without help, without assistance, without medical attention. That is medical neglect. Whether you want to see it or not, it's not just the fact that it's discriminatory to homeless people, it's medical neglect at this point. So y'all keep up your bullshit, because doctors and nurses say, oh, this isn't our problem, blah, 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 blah. Yes, it's not your problem. It's the foundation that you work for's problem, because they are creating the gaps in our system. Because they themselves, DME, could still provide our equipment whether we're homeless or not. The reason they don't is because some homeless people either get their stuff stolen or they sell it for whatever their needs are. Completely understand. But if you're not meeting their essential need for housing and food, then what the fuck do you expect? Because you could have approved my food assistance a while ago, and that's just my juices. These motherfuckers keep me alive. They keep me alive when SNAP benefits aren't enough to get all the nutrition that I need, because essentially I can't eat every day. So I rely on at least 3 shakes a day, whether it's mushroom shakes or these Cape Farm shakes. You can supplement that. You can supplement that, and you can bridge some of that gap. But you're choosing not to, because your insurance, your foundation that you work for, made it impossible for you to code it in a way where this person will be able to get the assistance before they go into malnutrition, even though our bodies are already showing signs of malnutrition. They're just not bad enough for you to warrant the help. Why are you waiting? Instead of giving preventative help, why are you waiting until the person is sick and then creating the bureaucracies and the systems that keep them sick? Because you keep saying that it's not the doctors that keep them sick. I get it. You guys are just trying to catch up on the aftermath because preventative measures aren't being made, but you're also not fighting for those preventative measures to be created. The movement has to come from within. The patient always talking about it isn't enough, because we know the system is fucked up. We are not blaming nurses and doctors solely for the system that is created. But if you don't fight back for the system that you work for, knowing what that system is doing with their denials and delays, and yes, some denials and delays are so that the wrong medications are not given, or over-medicating, or prescription momentum doesn't happen. However, denials on equipment, that does not make sense to me. Denials on infusions and things that can keep the person well enough to be able to put up with life's bureaucracy so that they have the cognitive and mental clarity to be able to do all the paperwork that all of these assistance programs require, because it's a whole job in itself just to be applying for all of this assistance. It's a whole job, and they keep you so busy and so drained that what the fuck do they expect? You are creating these problems. People have strokes. People develop cerebral palsy from all this stress. People develop serious problems with their migraines, autoimmune disorders, heart attacks. But you can't help them until they get to that point, because you created a system that is not preventative. So it will always be trying to catch up, which is actually more costly than if you just prevent these problems. And I will keep talking about it until you guys look at that, instead of trying to remove more and more assistance to try to force these young people to go back to work. The reason they're not going back to work is because it's not worth it. It's not worth it. No amount of housing is worth it if the moment you get sick, you're going to lose that housing because you're living paycheck to paycheck. No amount of housing. So if you can't assist the person to start from zero instead of starting from the red, from negatives, then you don't get to judge how that person chooses to survive, because they're doing their best. They are doing their best, and you're exhausting their finances to try to force them to comply with a system that is harming them. It's not about us not trusting you, because I have trusted every single program that has been recommended to me only to be harmed by it. So if you want to keep harming people and claiming that you're helping people and giving these unrealistic expectations for us to meet goals that our physical bodies can't maintain, then you're setting us up for failure over and over again. And all of that failure breaks your confidence and your self-esteem until you don't want to try anymore, until you give up. It's why I said I'm done with all of it and I'm focusing solely on my health, because you're killing me. You are killing me thinking that you are helping me. You're not helping me, because you're still not addressing my medical issues that weren't addressed prior to all of this. All those mental health issues you want to focus on, we're never going to get anywhere with those mental health issues, because my needs aren't being met. The reason I have the mental health issues are still the reasons I have my mental health issues. I have no housing and my medical conditions are not being treated. So just keep that in mind, because you don't know how many people I know that are homeless going through the same exact thing. But because they gave into drugs, they are not being helped. And the thing is that because I tried to commit suicide with street drugs, that is the assumption every time I ask for help, that I am a drug addict and that I don't need the assistance. And I get where they're coming from. I get why they lose help. It's why I tried to kill myself. Because no matter how much I try to ask for help, no one believes me that I need it. And the fact that I was already overly intelligent before I started to lose cognitive function, when I started screaming that I was losing my math, no one heard me. When I started screaming that I started losing languages, no one heard me. And people are barely listening to me now that I'm losing my natural languages, Spanish and English, that I grew up with. I'm losing my ability to communicate for myself. How long have you waited for some of these other people? How long have you left them out in the cold? How long have you left them suffering to prove that they don't want to do the work? They are doing the work. They are doing the best that they can at the capacity where they are right now. You want them to work at a capacity where they were, or you want them to work at the capacity that you believe is best for them? And that is not always the case.